So in our current implementation, when we add or delete a recipe, we can see it in our list view. But when we update a recipe, we don't see the changes on the user interface. Why is that? Well, if you remember, even with adding or removing, we had this problem before. But we solved the problem by using an observable collection instead of a list. Let's have a quick look at the documentation for observable collection. So observable collection C#. Okay, here it is. Look at the declaration of this class. It implements an interface called INotifyPropertyChanged. It also implements another interface called INotifyCollectionChanged. So this is how the magic happens. Because observable collection implements these interfaces, when you add an object to it or remove an existing one, it raises an event and notifies subscribers. In this case, the subscriber is our list view. So list view will be notified and it will add or remove the item accordingly. And that's why we see the changes. But when we update an object, by default, list view is not aware of that. So we need to implement INotifyPropertyChanged and raise an event, and this way the list view will be notified and then it will refresh itself accordingly. So here's our recipe class. You want to implement INotifyPropertyChanged interface here. Let's resolve the namespace. So that's defined in system.componentModel. Let's implement the interface. We get this event here called PropertyChanged. So whenever we change a property in this recipe class, we should raise this event and this will notify our subscribers. First, I'm gonna grab this event from here and put it on the top. This is purely my personal preference in terms of ordering the members of a class. Now, in this case, I want to raise an event when the name property changes. To do that, we cannot use an automatic property like here. We need to fully implement a property using a backend field. So first I'm going to declare a private string underline name. So that's our backend field. Now for the getter, we're just going to return underline name. And for the setter, first we need to check if the value that is being assigned is different from what we currently have. Because if the value is the same, we don't want to raise the event. So if underline name equals value, we return. Otherwise, we set the name to this new value. And now we need to raise the event. If you don't know how to do this, you should really watch my C# Advanced course, because there I've covered events and delegates in detail. So here we check if property changed is not null. We're going to call this like a method. As the sender, we're going to pass this. And as the event args, we pass a new property changed event args. In the constructor of this class, we need to supply the name of the property that is changed. In this case, I'm going to use name of operator in C# and add this name property here. So this will convert this to a string. Now we can make this code a little bit cleaner by moving this logic into a separate private method. Something like this. Private void onPropertyChanged. And here we have string property name. Then we're going to move this logic right here. And of course, we need to replace name of with property name argument. Now we can call this from our setter on property changed name of name. Now we can make this even a little bit cleaner. So we have this attribute that we can apply to this parameter called caller member name. Let's resolve it. It's defined in system.runtime.compilerServices. Now with this, we need to set a default value for this parameter. So we set it to null. And with this, I can go back here and exclude this argument. Now at this point, because I have not supplied an argument, property name will be null. And because of this attribute, the name of the caller, in this case, the name property, will be automatically placed here. And by the way, I have missed a parenthesis here, so let me add that. And finally, we can make this a little bit cleaner as well. We can use non-conditional operator in C#. So we can get rid of this if statement and have property changed (dot invoke). And this basically means if property changed is null, do nothing. Otherwise, call invoke method. So this is how we implement INotifyPropertyChanged interface. Now, if you run the application now, click update, look, we saw the changes immediately. And that's because of INotifyPropertyChanged interface. Now, one question you might have here is, what if we have 10 properties in our class? Implementing a property like this is going to be tedious and repetitive. And that's absolutely right. But we're going to look at this INotifyPropertyChanged interface in the future again. So for now, this is all you need to know. And by the way, you're going to use this again in the exercise I have designed for you at the end of this section. Next, we're going to look at connecting to web services.